Good afternoon. She made me sound like a champ. Thank you. But I am Angela Bush, and I've had the opportunity to serve as an educator for 18 years, for 28 years. And 19 of those years, I've served in a leadership capacity. I must say that the 4 years I served as principal of Erwin Middle School, those were the most fulfilling years of my career, however, the most challenging years, because we were going through school improvement. We were facing all the issues that every other school district or school faces when you are embarking upon a school improvement journey. We had low test scores for state accountability tests, horrible chronic absenteeism rate. We had low teacher attendance, low teacher morale, and our disciplinary infractions were through the roof. However, fortunately for us, my first year there, 2019, we entered into a partnership with Student Education. We were able to put some processes and procedures in place that were sustainable, and we utilized Janet Pilcher's 9 principles of framework for excellence to guide us, to successfully guide us through our school improvement process. If you take a look here, there are 9 principles, but for us, we focused on 4. First one, build a culture around service. Measure the important things. Develop leaders to develop people, and align behaviors with goals and values. Now, I was named principal of Erwin Middle School in 2019. Right before I was named principal there, the school received a designation from the state as a CSI school, which meant Comprehensive School Improvement. It really meant we were performing at the bottom 5% of all middle schools in the state. However, we were able to successfully navigate our way through that process with the partnership with Studer and utilizing those 4 principles from the 9 principles framework for excellence. Again, we were at the bottom 5%. I am so happy to say today that after 4 years of going through school improvement, for the first time in Erwin Middle School's history, we made a passing grade on our school report card. Remember, we also had a horrible chronic absenteeism rate. To be frankly honest, out of 57 schools in Jefferson County, we were the bottom. We had the worst chronic absenteeism rate in the entire school district. However, now we are the #1 school in Jefferson County for school attendance. Let's take a look at the principles that we utilize, that really we hung our hats on to guide us through school improvement. The first one, building a culture around service. Now, school improvement, we all know it's an uphill journey. And when you are creating and trying to sustain a culture of excellence, that requires more from people, especially when you have a building of over 50 teachers and over half of them are tenured. So when you start requiring more for people, oftentimes people leave. For us, we had what some refer to as the Great Exodus. We had 23 teachers to leave after my first year there. And I know that sounds like a lot, but that was a blessing for us, because now we could be intentional in our hiring practices. Number one, the main thing for us, we needed people who wanted to be there. Because if you want to be there in school improvement, that's an uphill journey. Then you will embrace the work. So, being intentional, we partnered with Teach for America, because those teachers specifically signed up to serve communities like Erwin Middle School, those urban areas. The teachers weren't certified, but going through Teach for America, they provided that extra layer of support that they needed. So I'm happy to say that every teacher that started with us 4 years ago, which were 13 teachers through the Teach for America program, they are all now certified teachers. And one of them last year won the Teacher of the Year for Erwin Middle School. Additionally, assessing the community, the school first year, we knew that a part of building that culture around service, we needed more men in the building. Our school demographics includes over 96% African American. In our community, just assessing the situation, there were not a lot of role models there. And we also know that African American males only make up 2% of teachers throughout the entire country. So we had to be intentional. We wanted our students to see more men in the building, but more men who modeled doing the right thing. So I'm proud to say with intentional hiring practices, we now have more male teachers in one school than the entire state of Alabama. And for us, it was very important that they saw the teachers model what we expected for them, an environment of service. If you take a look here, you'll see some of our teachers. We have 4 male teachers that are barbers. Anytime we had activities or events after schools, those teachers would stay and they would pull in a few more barbers from the community and they would cut hair for free. If we had activities going on, we had our male teachers serving. So we were creating an environment for service, but we wanted the students to see this is the behavior that we want you all to model. Let's take a look at the next principle, measuring the important things. Along with student education, our partnership, we created a school scorecard. And with that scorecard, we looked at our leading measures, which were academic achievement, school attendance, and behavior. And we assigned leader action items, and we used that tool to track our progress along the way. Also for us, it was very important that we kept our data visible. So we met on a weekly basis. It was very important for us to meet or huddle every 30 days. However, we became so engulfed in the work that we found ourselves meeting more frequently. It became a weekly basis or every other day, because anytime there was a barrier, we were able to meet and to somehow remove the barrier for that particular family, student, or community. The next thing for us, looking at that data, was very important, was removing the numbers and looking at the faces. For example, for our chronic absenteeism rate, we were at like 27% chronic absenteeism rate, but when you remove that number and start looking at those student faces behind those numbers, we were able to reach out to those families, call the families, go make those home visits, and so we could really see and track our data, the impact that we were making. The next principle, aligning behaviors with goals and values. Now, earlier I mentioned that our school earned a passing grade on the state report card for the first time ever in school history. However, it was even more important to us because we had 100% student growth, which meant every student in the building grew at least 1 percentage point. That was huge. And a huge part of that was attributed to us making sure that the students understood the data. We wanted them to know that when you're not at school, that impacts your report card grade, your 9-week report card grade. The two of those correlate with how well you perform on that state test. And a lot of students will say, well, I'm here every day, but I'm only 15 to 20 minutes late. But we wanted them to see that you are missing valuable instructional time during those 15 to 20 minutes. So making sure that the students understood those numbers, it really paid off, because when we took our state assessment, of course we had 100% growth, but we also had multiple students to increase multiple grade levels. That was huge. We had a huge celebration for those students as well. The fourth principle, developing leaders to develop people. For us, extremely important. As the instructional leader of the building and trying to navigate your way through school improvement, that is not a journey you can take on by yourself. As my grandma would say, there are no big I's and little U's. We were all a team. So as we navigated our way through, we had everybody on board. We empowered our students, our teachers, and we were getting our community involved. They provided incentives for everything we were providing for our students. Every task that we came upon, our community provided incentives. However, we know that the four walls of the school extends beyond that school building. We needed to get our parents more involved. So we had a parent university. We have about 600 students in the school. Typically, when we have an after-school event for parents to attend, we may have 60 or 70 parents. Our leadership team met, and they were very intentional in making sure that we had everything in place to remove any barrier that a family could possibly have that would prevent them from coming to our parent university. We provided child care. All the teachers in the building stayed after school and provided child care for the families. We provided food. Every family that attended left with a meal. And we had our sheriff. We had the sheriff of Jefferson County. Jefferson County is a very large metropolitan area in Birmingham. And we had the sheriff to come out, and he was able to share data with those parents. He was actually able to show them how the crime rate amongst teens during school hours increases when students are not in school. Parents were able to make that correlation. We had told them the same thing so many times, but I guess hearing it from us, it didn't really resonate, but hearing it from the sheriff, it did. We also had Dr. Leslie Richards. She's the director of curriculum instruction for our school district. She came out. She was able to help the parents connect the dots as well. They drilled down on the data. She was able to help those parents see that when your child is not in school, you're going to see the impact of that when they receive their 9-week report card. And those two correlate with how well they perform on the state test. It was so phenomenal that the next day our front office was overwhelmed with the number of parents coming in and calling and asking for another copy of their child's school attendance, their report cards, and that student report from the state test. Those were huge for us. The next thing, addressing the student behavior. This was very important because what we did, we knew that we couldn't just go to the kids and say, hey, I really want you to perform well. I want you to do your work. I want you to come to school. What we did, we created mentoring programs for our young males and for our young ladies. And with those mentoring programs, we were intentional. We targeted the 45 most at-risk students for academics, attendance, and behavior. And we call them the ambassadors of our school. So anytime we have any event where we're inviting our dignitaries in, our superintendent, anybody, these students act as the ambassadors. For us, it was important to create that mindset shift for our students. And we no longer had to have conversations with them about their behavior, their grades, or their attendance. They held themselves accountable, just as the 9 principles said that. When you create an environment for individuals of excellence, and you create it so that everybody is involved, you're able to sustain that, and then everyone holds themselves accountable and they perform at a high level. This work, again, has been so fulfilling to me because to take a community, to see a community that has never experienced any level of success when it comes to school or education, to start from the bottom to now earning a passing grade on your school report card was huge. To start from the bottom to be the lowest school out of 57 for school attendance, to move to the #1 school out of 57 for chronic absenteeism rate, that was huge. It was so fulfilling because we could see as a school and a community that we were instilling hope into people. Those are the things that you can never put a price tag on. Those students started to see that they mattered. They understood the reasoning behind coming to school. Those were so important to us, and the community is still experiencing that impact. Our leadership team consisted of teachers throughout the entire content areas in our building. We also included our custodian. It was very fulfilling for me a few weeks ago to get a call from the custodian and a couple of teachers to say that although you're no longer here, everything that we put in place over the last 4 years is still happening. They said we can still feel your spirit in the building. So for me, Those 4 years at Erwin Middle School will forever be the most fulfilling years of my career. I'd also like to say that at this point now I am serving as area director of our school district, and I now have the opportunity to serve 15 additional schools. So we are, again, looking at Janet Pilcher's 9 principles of framework for excellence. We are, for each particular school, we are focusing on the needs of that school. So I am very hopeful by next year this time, we'll be able to share more data, because we are tracking it, to show that the 9 principles and framework for excellence works. Thank you for your time. That is our story. And student education, thank you for your partnership.